If you live in a condo, this could impact you. It's winter in Massachusetts, but some condo tenants say their units are barely above 50 degrees.
Western Mass News reporter Matt Price is getting answers on this issue. He joins us live from downtown Springfield with what he found out today. Matt.
Yeah, Chris and Amanda, tenants who live here at Kimball Towers Condominiums have called our newsroom with complaints. Some of them saying that their units' temperatures have reached only up to the mid-50s, and the Commonwealth requires for there to be a minimum of 68 degrees during the day and a minimum of 64 at night. One tenant told us late last week they have not had heat since October. Another tenant telling us today she has a heating issue and has had to use 3 space heaters as a result. Now, that person said they recently filed maintenance requests, but management canceled those requests. We reached out to both the Springfield Housing and Building Department and NIA Plotkin, the company that manages Kimball Towers. Plotkin tells us private owners control the condos, which means the owners are responsible for repairs inside their units. In addition, only owners can file maintenance requests, not the tenants who live in their properties. Our crew saw representatives from code enforcement today. They say they checked on the boiler system. It's working, but one boiler needs a part, and that part is on the way. That said, the Building and Housing Department says they do not need to shut down the building. Plotkin acknowledged it is their responsibility to make sure the boiler system and other infrastructure in the building are working, which they are. As of now, we have so far been unable to get in touch with the owners of those units. That's latest live from downtown Springfield. Matt Price, Western Mass News.